Oh, hello! Welcome to Skogknits. My name is Christopher and I am a knitter, a quilter, and a cross-stitcher. And every now and again I will dip my toes into other crafts if something should tickle my fancy. It's been a while since my last video and I've been catching up with Jenny from the Long Dog Stitcher here on Flosstube. And she's been filming updates. And so I thought, hey, I need to do an update video. So it's been a long time since my last video, and an even longer time since I've talked about cross stitch. Since the time of my last video, I have been busy working on quite a few things. Today's video I will talk about mostly cross stitch, but I do have a couple of knitting updates that I will talk about at the end. During June and July, we were in Europe staying with my in-laws, and typically we see the in-laws twice a year. Once a year they come and visit us, and once a year we go and visit them. Yeah, they came here in the summer of 19 and we took a road trip to Vegas and Utah and Wyoming. I mean, we took them around and showed them the sights. Because we haven't seen them for so long, and because my mother-in-law had heart surgery at the beginning of this year, and we weren't able to go visit them due to everything that's happened in the last year and a half. We were anxious to go. So the day that everything was opened up again for travel, we went. And I mean, it was literally that day. So we were in Europe in June and July, and I brought along beading supplies, a knitting project, and a cross-stitch project. And that cross-stitch project is, if I can find the right one here, Basket of Cherries by Blackbird Design. And I was able to start and finish that project while I was there. And, you know, I've had this project in my stash for quite a long time, and it was fully kitted. I actually bought this as a kit. So this is stitched on the called for fabric, which is 32 count cocoa by Weeks Dye Works, using all of the called for Gentle Arts threads. Now this was a fun project. Well, you know, most of the projects I work on are fun, right? Otherwise, why would I be working on them? If they're not fun, I usually stop or don't work on them. Anyways, this was an evening project. So I worked on this, alternating between this and my knitting project during the evenings. During the daytime, I did work on, sorry, so now we're going to go into a segue here. But during the daytimes, I was mostly working on beading projects. I decided, for whatever reason, I don't even remember what sparked this, but for some reason, when I was packing my things, my craft things, I had it in my mind that I wanted to bring my beading supplies. So I did, and I worked on bracelets, and yeah, that took up most of the day, and it was nice because I was able to spread out on the table during the daytime when everyone was, you know, working from home or at school or, you know, at work, whatever. And in the evenings, mostly I worked on Basket of Cherries and my knitting project. So funny story, I didn't realize that taking along beading supplies on my carry-on was going to, it wasn't a kerfluffle really, but it delayed us going through security at the airport. You know, they they did the typical scanning of your bag, and then they had to rescan it, and then someone had to look through my bag, and that whole process takes a while because it's always like, people are in line, and when they need to rescan it, they take it back, and so you're waiting there, and then when they decide that someone needs to check the bag, that takes a while too, because you're waiting for an available agent, and then the agent comes, and then they're going through the bag, and because my beading supplies are in different containers and things, there was a lot of taking things out and going through my carry-on luggage. Needless to say, it just delayed the whole process and turned into a bigger thing than I had expected or had thought it would. But on the bright side, the security agent who was going through my bag was very friendly, and she was also a beader. So we had a little rapport there, and she was asking questions about all the Swarovskis that I had brought, and my organization system. So it wasn't an unpleasant experience. It was just a time-consuming one. Another project that I worked on and finished, well, partially finished, I'll explain, is Delightful Pink Roses by Lesley Teare. And so I searched high and low, and I came across this project, and I decided that I wanted to work on this project, but I wanted to work on the roses individually, which I did. Well, and I started one, and I finished that one. And this is on Lakeside Linens 36 count sand dune. Now, the pattern is 4 vignettes of roses with this green border around the entire thing. And because I'm doing them individually, I needed to figure out that border, so I just kind of winged it and came up with that. So now I will put this one aside until I get a chance to work on the other roses before I decide what to do, how to finish them. Another project that I was able to finish was is Merry and Bright by Cottage Garden Samplings. Now this is number 2 in a series, but I'm not working on the entire series, I'm just working on this one project. And I'm not a huge fan of words or lettering in projects, so I didn't work on this whole top row here. And this is my finish. And so here is what I've done. As you can see, I left off the top row and just finished at that. And I think it looks fine. I don't think it looks incomplete. I mean, once I have this in a frame, which is how I'm going to finish this one, is I'm going to frame it. I think it looks fine, right? I mean, you don't even notice that the words are missing unless I show you the pattern. But it's basically that. Sorry for the glare. So it's basically that. This is stitched on the called for fabric, which is 36 count dove linen from Weeks Dye Works. But instead of the Weeks Dye Works threads, I used the DMC. So I think it was fun. It was a little tedious because a lot of the motifs are the same. But there you go. It's done. done. Another project done. I have one more finish, and this was actually a new start and a finish. This is a new to me designer that I stumbled across somehow on Instagram. I forget how, I mean, obviously we all see new things on Instagram. Anyways, the pattern is from Just Cross Stitch 2021 Halloween Special Edition. And the pattern is called Hello Kitty Surprise by the Witchy Stitcher. So this is how the sample was done and how the sample's finished. And I stitched mine on Weeks Dye Works linen, 32 count pumpkin. Let me just hold this behind it. 32 count. And this was actually a pretty quick stitch because I started this when this magazine came out. I ran out and got it in August. Sorry, there's a little. In August, I picked it up. So this was mainly what I worked on in the month of August. And this is using DMC threads, which is what the pattern calls for. And I love it. I mean, I love the depth that you get with the shadowing. The shadowing here, around the neck, and then down in here. Really fun, really fun. And I didn't get this finished, like, FFO'd in time for Halloween. I mean, I still have time, but I'm not going to. So she's a new to me pattern designer, and all of her stuff is of that realm. I mean, her name is the Witchy Stitcher. And she has an Instagram account and a Facebook page, Etsy shop, and a website. But all of her projects are in that realm, that style. They're not all Halloween, just Halloween, but they're all witchy and scary and of that genre. So another project that I've been working on is Santa's Trips by Barbara Anna Designs. So here's the cover of the pattern, the cover page of the pattern. There you go. So what I worked on is this one, this square, and this square, and the border here. I have changed a couple of the colors. I've changed the color of the ground cover here and the snow, because I felt like the snowflakes, the white that the pattern calls for, wasn't showing up on this fabric, which it isn't, because I'm still using the white for the snowflakes in the sky and up here in these areas, and you really can't see it. Are they showing up here? Yeah, you really can't see. I mean, you can see it if you look closely, but if it's hanging on the wall, you're not gonna be able to see it. So I did change the color of the ground, but now I was seeing it and I don't know, I'm not loving it. There you go. Barbara Anna Designs, Santa's Trips. Not going to be done by Christmas this year because I have other things in the queue that I am itching to start. Back in August, we took a trip to Portland. And while we were up there, I didn't happen to. Usually when I go to new towns, I try to find either a quilting store or a yarn shop or a LNS. And I did find, well, they had plenty of quilting stores. Quilting stores are easier to find. And then knitting store shops. So it's easiest to find a quilting shop and then a knitting shop. And then it's harder to find a local needlework shop. In general, in my experience. But I did find, a couple of each of those, and I happened to be in the area of acorns and threads. So I went, and I was ecstatic when I got there. I mean, it's a nice, bigger side shop that has tons of patterns, tons of supplies. They had, a good amount of fabric. The LNS that's closest to me, which is about an hour and 45 minutes away, has a huge selection of fabrics. And, well, it's a smaller shop, but they have a large selection of fabrics. And Acorns and Threads had a nice size selection of fabrics, but not as large as my LNS. But they had plenty of everything else. And this is not to say that they didn't have very many fabrics. I mean, I don't know why I'm focusing on fabrics, but okay, I digress. So while I was in the shop, I spent about 2 hours there because, I had to walk around the whole store, just get a sense of what everything was, and then, go back to the areas and really go through everything with a fine-tooth comb. So that's my typical MO for shopping, even in, no matter what it is. If it's a clothing store, whatever, I do the same. So, needless to say, I picked up a plethora of things, and one of them being a pattern which was a collaboration between Summer House Stitchworks, Ink Circles, and Hands-On Design. And it's an older design. Let me see if I can find out what year it was when this came out. 2019. It's not that old. But I never saw this before. And it's called Needles Dance. And here it is by the three of them, Needles Dance. And in the shop they had samples by both of these samples. So they had the blue sample and the white sample, and just like in the photograph, they had the bluer sample done. I don't know what count it was stitched on, but it was bigger than the white one. And I didn't even notice the white one at first, even though they were next to each other. I didn't notice the white one at first until I made my second round. And when I saw the white one, I was like, oh my god, those are my colors. I was definitely in the mood for the bright colors. So I kitted it up while I was in the store. I bought the fabric and the threads and the pattern. And the fabric I'm using is a 36 count opal white. So it does have the sparklies in it, with the called for General Arts threads. And I started this one the minute I got home. And this is a really fun project. I'm doing this one in a hoop, which I either use a hoop or I use a scroll rod, just depending on the size of the project. But anyways, I'm loving this. I love the bright colors. I love the little forest prints. Oh, But I am going to modify this pattern. And I guess I'll talk about it more when I get to it. But, you know, again, I don't like words on my projects. So I'm not going to stitch the night forest wakes as the needles dance. I'm either going to just remove this whole top section and end it right above these hanging flowers. Just end the border right above that. Or I might do the border all the way up to the top and then chart out some more forest animals and put them in here maybe. So we'll see when I get there. I have a way to go because I'm not working on this one at the moment because I have another project that's occupying my time. This is my October project. So my October project is the All Souls Vierlanden by Quiltify Design. So that's what the cover page looks like. Sorry here for the delay, technical difficulties. This is the pattern. It's a traditional Vierlanden design, but turned all souls because of all the bones and skulls. This is where I'm at with it. Let me grab something to hold behind so that you don't get the glare through. So this is where I am. I started with the one of these medallions, and then I'm working on the second one here. And you know, I'm doing a more colorful version than the pattern calls for. The pattern is done all in monotone. And looking at what other people are doing on Instagram, there are some people using variegated thread, some people using a solid thread. You know, all these versions look beautiful, but I'm doing mine more colorful, but in Halloween colors. So this is a piece of seraphin linen, 32 count in the colorway Haunted. And I'm just going to hold this in the back a bit so that you can kind of see how beautiful this fabric is. I mean, look at the modeling here. And I thought maybe and the threads are perfect. The threads I'm using are from Leo and Roxy threads. And I even made this project bag to hold my threads to go with this particular project because of the skulls and the bones and whatnot. So I'm going to pull out these threads so you can see them a little closer up. And these are Leo and Roxy floss. That's them. And you can see them in action there. So that's it for my cross-stitch updates. That's what I've been working on. And I am going to continue. I've committed myself to only work on this All Souls project in October. Because this is a huge project. I mean, if you look at how big this is. I mean, and all I have done is just this one here in the center. And now I'm starting on this one here. So that's gonna this is gonna take me a while to finish. There's no way this is gonna be done by Halloween or even this year, because like I said, I have other things that I'm anxious to start on, but this is my evening October cross stitch pattern. So I'm going to move on to the knitting portion of the video now. The first of the two knitting projects that I've been working on since the last video is this striped sweater in my springtime colors, pastel colors, Neapolitan colors. For some reason, the colors are coming out a little washed out here. Oh, that's maybe better, but I feel like they look kind of washed out here. Yeah, they're kind of washed out here. But now this sweater, I'm using the yarns from the sweater that I worked on that I almost finished at the beginning of the year, or earlier this year, where I wasn't happy with how I calculated the sizing and the proportions of the colors. So I frogged that project completely and soaked the yarn to get the memory out, and then recast on again, knitting top down, starting here at the neck, working my way down, raglan sleeve, so it's a seamless sweater. And this time I decided to follow the recipe from Maxim Sears Sew Basic Sweater, which is this sweater here. And I don't know if you can see on the sleeves, there is a stitch detail running vertically down the sleeves here. And basically what it is you change the stitch pattern. The stitch pattern, like this is all stocking, this is what you call stocking net stitch. Changing the stitch pattern to create what looks like stripes on the sleeves, but it's not really a stripe as in a different color stripe, but it's a stripe as in a change in the knit stitch. So that's what is in this pattern. But like I said, I'm not following the pattern for the design of the pattern. I'm following the pattern for the sizing and the shaping and the proportions for this sweater. I didn't want to create any patterning with the stitches because it was already going to be so busy with the speckled yarns and the striping. So this is the sweater. It's knit all the way down to the cuff at the waist, and now I'm ready to pick up the stitches around the sleeve, knit the right sleeve, the same for the left sleeve. So that is knitting project number 1 since my last video. And I should say this is basically a redo of another knitting project, right? Knitting project number 2. Now I'm at almost the same stopping point for project number 2 as I am for project number 1. And it again is another sweater. This time it is a pattern that I'm knitting up, and it is Mille for Men by Regina Mosmer and Lillian Jockish. The pattern was designed in 2020, and it's a cardigan sweater, but it has a shawl collar here, button down front, pockets. Sorry for the glare. That's the only photo in the pattern. There's probably other photos online. And I am knitting this out of Peruvian Highland wool. So this is a Peruvian Highland wool in worsted weight. And I'm just going to show you this so you can see the color. And it's beautiful. It's another raglan seamless sweater. But it's the cardigan, so it's opened. I don't know the best way. Maybe I should have put this on a hanger so you can see it. So I have the pockets are done. Pockets. Just need to seam them up on the sides here, so the way the pockets are done, it's knit into the front panel. Then you pick up stitches again here to knit the back inside of the pocket, and then the sides, the inside sides of the pocket need to be seamed to close it up. So I'm done with the entire body. So here's the back, here's the front, all the way down to the cuff, or the waist, the ribbing for the waistband. And then now I need to pick up the stitches on either sleeve and knit the sleeves. Then once the sleeves are done, you pick up the stitches along the edge of the... I'm probably not doing a good job of showing this here, but pick up the stitches along the edges here and here, and then you knit the collar, the band, and the collar. Anyways, this is where it's at. Done. Now I might pick up this project sooner than the striped one, because we're going back to Europe in December for Christmas and New Year, and it is always cold there. Usually snows where they live, my in-laws. So this sweater will come in handy if I can get it done. Or I should say, it will come in handy because I am going to get it done. That will be my goal, is to get that sweater done before our trip. And I'm not going to bring my beading supplies this time because that was just... Well, it was fruitful, but I don't think I'm going to be beading for this winter trip. So I'll bring a knitting project and another cross stitch project, and that'll be plenty. So that's all I have to share for today. I hope that my next video won't be as long away as my last video. And until then, bye-bye now.